So this area, we call it Ghost Dog 1. We know of a couple of dogs here, and it's called Ghost Dog because you never see them. There's been very few times that we see them. People take pictures of them. One of the dogs was here close to 2.5 years. His name was Duke. And when they started doing construction here is when the dogs had to start moving around, and he ended up getting hit by a truck. He hid under a container over here for a while, maybe about a week or so. And one of our volunteers was able to go in there, and after hours, she spent hours trying to get him out.
Good boy. Slowly getting my trust. We're almost there. And I'm gonna throw that slip lead on you. You don't know it yet, but I'm in the middle of it. And I'm getting bulldozed over there.
It's hard to see because it's all bushes now, but actually that blue container there is where he hid. We used to go in there and feed. That was their feeding spot because we knew that's where the dogs would come out of the shipping containers. But now it's all bushes, so we feed out here. But Duke was under there for a while. When I first started feeding about a year ago, there was a dead dog in this first container here. It was heartbreaking to know that there's dogs out here and they don't always survive.
My name is Chandra Waters. I have adopted Benedict and Duke. Both are rescues out of Redlands, Florida. Both of them are tripods. I had lost my dog to osteosarcoma, bone cancer in his leg, and I knew I wanted another special needs dog. And then when I saw Benedict come up on Poodles and Pooch, he just tugged at my heartstrings. I adopted him. At that point, I had no idea that he was even from the Redlands. And on my Facebook feed, something just popped up, and it was a picture of him when he was initially injured. I'm like, that looks like Benedict. That can't be my dog. And then I started researching more and found out that he was from the Redlands and connected with the Redlands that way. Started following Duke's story and reached out about adopting him as well. He was what they call a ghost dog. He was a pack of about 4 to 5 dogs, I believe initially, that were just free roaming on their own, deathly afraid of humans, didn't want any kind of human contact, never even showed their faces. But he was out on the streets with that pack for about 2 years.
My name is Jessie Pena, and I'm with Redland Rockpit Abandoned Dogs Project. Our mission is to feed dogs. There's a lot of dogs that are unwanted, that are discarded, that are dumped daily. Also, we started picking up dogs because there's a lot of dogs that they use for bait. You know, there's a lot of dog fighters out there. So that became our second mission. I have actually witnessed people dumping dogs. They just drive to an isolated area, open their car door, and just, you know, kick them out. And what happens with the dog is they will start chasing that car.
My name is Raisa, my last name is Perez, and I have a dog rescue. It's called Rescue Me. It was my dream for many, many years. People are dumping dogs all over the place. We are in a dumping area, and unfortunately we don't get a lot of adoptions. It's a community problem because people, they get a puppy today, and then tomorrow when the puppy is already old, they don't want them anymore. So they do what it is, an exchange. They bring that one to the pound or they dump it on the street, and then they go and they get themselves another puppy.
Buenos días, ¿cómo le va?
Bien, bien, gracias.
Qué bueno, cuánto me alegro. ¿Cómo le va?
Aquí, gracias a Dios.
¿Cuántos perros tiene aquí?
En total 12.
He's got 12 dogs in here. ¿Y por qué usted tiene tantos perros? Porque la gente los bota, porque usted los...
Exactamente.
Yeah, because people,
Un animal no se le puede botar en la
people
calle.
dump them all the time, so he picks them up and brings them in here. ¿Por qué usted cree que botan perros por aquí?
Es que hay gente, muchos que a veces
A lot of people just,
ya no lo pueden tener en su casa.
they can't have them anymore.
Usted sabe que hay la Sociedad Protectora de Animales, ¿no? Entonces eso se puede llamar o lo pueden ir a dejar.
They could call Dade County and they can come and pick them up.
Pero no
But they-
venimos en el carro, abren la puerta.
They
y
just
nos
open up the
dejan
door and they
y
just
se van.
dump them in there and they just run away. I mean, they just drive away.
Yo he visto acá que lo hacen así.
He has seen that with his own eyes.
Por animales que ya como buscando.
And just the dog is lost, they don't know what to do.
Sí, yo he visto.
He have seen people
Yeah.
run them over.
Que hay gente loca que no lo respetan. ¿verdad?
Yeah,
Anda
people
cruzando,
just don't care.
les vale,
They
y
just
eso,
drive and they just run them over.
pues, Me da pena de que
And he feels really bad about it.
lo maten así, ¿no?
He doesn't want them to get killed like that. So he brings them into his nursery and he takes care of them.
Y aquí todos están vacunados, todos tienen
Everybody
una-
got their shots
cada
in
año
here.
lo llevo que los vacunen.
Every year he takes them to get their shots. He pays for everything.
Están bien saludables.
Everybody's nice and healthy here.
Y de paso aquí me cuidan también en la noche.
And on top of that, they take care of his nurseries at night. He said that he's good enough to feed himself and feed the animals.
Y así.
So that's what's going on in here.
Gracias por la entrevista.
He said, thank you very much for the interview.
There's a lot of abandoned animals. They dump them in this area. They usually do it on the fields. That's where you see them actually dumping the animals outside. And I can't see an animal hungry or thirsty. So I give them food. I give them something to drink. The only problem that I have around here is the santeros. These tracks, all the garbage bags and everything here, these people dump the carcasses of the animals that are being sacrificed. I smell it. I've seen goats, ducks, birds, iguanas, pigeons, cats, and dogs.
My name is Olga Parrish. I own Gardenia South.
She had a husky years and years ago. And somebody took her and they got the puppies out and they let her to die.
When I found her on the street, I said, oh my gosh, she was pregnant. And I went and got her to see if maybe she just got hit and saved the puppies. But somebody had opened her up. The day before, a woman came in here and was dressed all white, santerias. But it was just a coincidence that she shows up, and then the next day my dog is. I wish I could do more. I just can't.
You have done so much for dogs. I know.
Right here, this is the Redland agricultural area. I'm from up north, New Jersey, New York. I lived in farmland out there. I have never seen this kind of dog dumping, animal dumping in my life. Maybe they just believe that, oh, there's people rescuing dogs, so they'll be all right. But the dogs aren't all right.
We went right here to Homestead to a little restaurant called La Pasadita. And I just happened to look up and see something moving in front of me, and I noticed that it was this little puppy right here. The place that's next door to the Pasadita is a vet's office. I had got a good look at him and I noticed that he wasn't well. You know, his skin doesn't look right to me. I'm assuming that that's the reason why somebody just dumped him there. My husband was able to catch him and we fed him and gave him water. If you have a puppy that's sick or unwell, the last thing that you should ever do is dump them. They're not able to fend for themselves. There's so much help out there these days for these kind of dogs that there's just no need to do that. You're just literally giving the puppy a death sentence. I wasn't born here, but I was raised here in Homestead, and all my life I've seen it.
My name is Rachel Shearing and I live here in the Redland. I moved down to Miami about 3.5 years ago and I had no idea what the dog situation was down here, but I quickly found out. Just driving around here, you see dogs, on the side of the road. These people, they dump the dogs out here and they think they're gonna survive just because they're animals, but they can't. They're not equipped for that. All you can do is just keep food in your car and try to take pictures of them, put them on Facebook, and try to network them, to get them to rescue.
We are the Grawls. This is Glenn, I'm Robin, and this is our son Hayden. We moved to the Redland about 3.5 years ago. Somehow these three found us. Onyx turned up on our block between Christmas and New Year's. We were out of town. She just was sitting at the gate. She was microchipped. We had her checked out by the vet. The owner said, not my dog, and she's been here for 2.5 years. When we realized she needed a friend, we brought her to meet somebody at Animal Services, and she met Nitro. We brought him home that day. Maybe 6 months later, my husband was on his motorcycle and somebody was coming in the other direction on the guise of walking their dog.
I was watching a guy, got out of his white car and had the dog on a leash. And I looked in my rearview mirror and I watched him drop the leash got back in his car and drove in the opposite direction. I turned around on my motorcycle and came back, and Tahoe's extremely friendly, and he came right up to me. We think, okay, maybe he's chipped, and we're gonna take him to the vet. So we did, and found out that he wasn't chipped. We decided that if he's going to live, we've got to own him.
Obviously, they come from a home. They had a family at once, and they just are found in a bad situation. So when we go feed, they actually want to jump in your car and go with you. We also have dogs that have been born here, and they don't know anything about a human touch. So what happened is, when they see us, they will go hide. People also have the misconception, that these are wild animals, that these are animals that are going to attack you. These are animals that are not domesticated, and it's completely wrong.
I'm David Kerpel. We're from Deerfield, Illinois.
I'm Brandon Kerpel. I'm Samantha Kerpel.
I'm Erin Kerpel.
I kind of thought that when I went out there, a lot of the dogs would be really scary and like they might attack me or my family, but quite the opposite. A lot of them are very friendly, and they're coming up and they're playing with us, and that's really nice, and that's something I certainly didn't expect. And so I think it really would be nice if other people knew that these dogs out here, they can be adopted, they can be fostered, and they can be loved because they give love.
So for the holidays a few years ago, we gave each of our kids $50 of do good money, and so we said they could either donate it or they could take it and use it to do something bigger and better with.
We decided to turn it into something more. We baked dog treats, we sold dog treats, we raised a lot of money. We saw horrific images of all the terrible stuff that's happening.
And when we saw that, we were like determined to do something about it. We couldn't let these dogs die. So we wanted to help them and bake treats and then sell them and then donate all the profits.
It's also so sad that we can't do something major about them, we can't take them home and help them.
Dumping an animal, it should be illegal, it is illegal, but people just get away with it. So they think that it's something, easy to do.
This is one of our spots where we stopped to feed. Actually, up the road there is what they call Skinny Shepherd. We actually feed right at there on the left, and we just happened to look over and saw what this bag was, which was a bigger bag at one point that had zip ties around it. So when we got out to stop and we looked, we could see clearly that there was a dog's leg sticking out and a mouth. And at that point, it looked like it had been either dumped here or somebody killed it and zip tied it and left it here. We weren't sure, so we reported it, and unfortunately, a month or two later, it's still here. It's just kind of strange that they would take the time to tie it in both ends. Here's the front end. Don't want to get too deep, but you can actually see its teeth there.
We found a dog here in Redland that was almost dead. She was found in an isolated area. We were feeding at that time, and we rushed her to the vet.
Dr. Scola, worked here for 12 years, taken in many trauma cases for a long time. The Redlands, for sure, are one of the biggest projects. When Spirit came in, she was very close to passing away. She had very low blood sugar, very low temperature, could not move, raise her head. She honestly looked dead. She was chewed from one end to the other by multiple different dogs on multiple different days. So there was not a part of her body that wasn't bitten and torn. She had given birth at some point. She had milk, no babies, but had definitely given birth, and we think that's why she was attacked.
My name's Christina Maristani. I'm a vet here at Knowles Animal Clinic, Snapper Creek, for about 10 years now. Spirit, I remember, came in and was probably one of our worst cases that we've seen of abuse and just how sick she was. When she came in, kind of had her head lowered. She didn't want to lift her head Some dogs will do that just because they're scared or they're timid, but in her case, I could tell she wanted to, but physically she was unable to. And in surgery, when we took her to surgery, we explored the neck wounds, and her neck muscles were pretty much severed. To be able to get her through such a tough situation and then see her happiness come through, like wagging her tail, her eyes lit up, you know, I mean, it's heartwarming to see that. Sometimes these dogs are so sick that it does require a lot of finances, and sometimes nobody's able to provide for the treatment. And it's not that they're not always able to be treated, it's just that the finances sometimes are a limiting factor for these guys. But when you have somebody that's committed from the rescues and says, look, we're all in for this dog, we're gonna do whatever we can, it's amazing the results that you can see after.
If you can find people wonderful enough to give them a chance, medicine now can fix near anything. So if you find people to do it, the technology's there and it can be done. They deserve it. They've already went through everything. I actually live in the Redlands now, and I have for 12 years. It is a dumping ground is the problem. So not only do they breed on their own, but every day more and more dogs are dumped there. The Redlands are a big issue because it does not really belong to a city. It's really an unincorporated area, and it spans a large area along the Everglades. When Animal Services is called, unless a dog has bitten someone, they will not collect dogs from the Redlands. I actually have had trouble with my very own where I live. I've lived all over the country in 9 different states. Miami's the only place I've been where it is not a given that every family spays and neuters. A lot of them do not, and a lot of them let their household pets have babies and babies. So it's a little different culture here, and it would really help if everybody knew it's not just for overpopulation, but also health, and it's just not something that is across the board here.
Trying to get the word out to make sure that they understand that adopting a dog is a lifelong commitment is probably the most important thing. Definitely spaying and neutering helps to kind of prevent these unwanted pregnancies that are out there. You know, so many dogs that are out there that are loose, like down south and Homestead, that they just keep reproducing, and it's hard to kind of catch up, you know, but definitely adopting is the way to go, and to try to have, you know, people understand that when you adopt one, that it's a forever thing.
When you come to this country, you think that everything is completely different than where you're coming from. And unfortunately, in Dade County, it's pretty much the same. This is the way I see it. When you're driving, when you run a red light, you get a ticket. What happened when you kill a dog? It's very simple. I mean, you're abusing to an animal that cannot defend himself. They know where the dumping areas are, and this is one of them. So I don't see why they don't fix it. I just don't understand the reason why. I mean, if you get yourself a dog and you throw it out and you don't want him anymore and somebody picks him up, I mean, you got a problem. But it's a society, because nothing happens to them.
Spay and neuter should be mandatory. The amount of backyard breeding going on, it shouldn't be okay.
The laws are there. They're just
not
being
enforcing
enforced.
them. All it takes if a police officer sees it, all they have to do is stop and give them a ticket. Run them off, give them a ticket. It's a $500 fine for not having a kennel license and a $500 fine for not having a breeder's license. Last summer alone, we took in 3 pregnant moms. We had over 40 puppies. We had a litter of puppies that was found in a dumpster. We've had litters that were just pulled out of construction sites. We've seen people go to Miami-Dade, turn in a senior dog, and turn around and walk out with a puppy. That shouldn't be okay.
It's heartbreaking, and there's dogs everywhere. So Sophie saw the problem, and we decided to take a team down, and we spent one afternoon out in the Redlands and came home with 10 dogs that turned into 19 dogs because one was pregnant.
The best way for people to follow through with spays and neuters is education. Has to start at the first veterinary visit, even your friends, internet. There's commercials on it, so just getting more of the word out there of how important it is. It's getting better than I've seen it, and maybe in the past 5 years it's getting better. One dog can produce, up to 8-10 puppies in one litter, and that's one time. If you think about over a dog's lifetime, how many litters that could produce, that's how many dogs are now in the world because of just that one dog. Spaying and neutering will help that tremendously. It will cut down on the need for shelters. It will cut down on neglect and abuse that's going on out there. Spaying and neutering is the big fix in all of this, and it's an easy fix. There are so many resources out there for people. People think, I don't have the money to have it done. There are definitely resources out there for low-cost spay and neutering. I'm touting on that, but that is really going to be the fix to the problem that we have created with all of these unwanted animals in our country and in Florida.
Miami-Dade County needs to acknowledge that there is rampant animal dumping out here.
We have to somehow start implementing the law, enforcing the law. There's a lot of really good laws, but nothing is actually enforced.
Miami-Dade says there is no problem, there is no animal cruelty, there is no huge dog dumping problem here. This story should tell you the difference.
We see all these rescue groups and people asking for donations, and we look further into it, and then we ended up with one and we saw the problem. This is unfathomable to us.
I'd like to see so many more people be available to foster these dogs or even adopt the dogs.
We've seen dogs that were like they were gonna be fostered, and some of the fosters backed out, and I really want to see fosters that are committed to it and that will enjoy having the dog.
We've fostered, rescued, been a part of transporting over 70 dogs just in 1 year. So for us, it's been amazing. 70 dogs have new homes directly because of my small family. So when people say, are you making a difference? I really think so. But I don't do it just for that reason. I also do it because it's taught my children so much about compassion and helping others and seeing past disabilities and deformities and illness, and seeing that even the little tiny things like caring for mangy puppies that come in with no hair, that they become beautiful again and they find wonderful homes. My kids, I think, are better people for it.
I know that there are some schools down here that do special programs. The Redland Rockpit works with a school up in the hammocks, and they have rescue dogs and they ship them up to Connecticut and try to get them out of Miami. They also work with the kids with teaching them how to train the dogs, because that's a lot of the reason why dogs do get dumped, is because people aren't educated on how to train their dogs.
My name is Jordan Eunice. I'm an 11th grader in the Felix Vela Veterinary Academy. I am in the dog training program here, where we work with certified positive reinforcement trainers to work with abandoned dogs that came from the streets or owner surrendered and everything like that. With our positive reinforcement training, everything that we do has a positive impact on the dog. So we do not hurt the dog, we do not scare the dog. Everything we do is reward based. So we either capture behavior by treating them, or we lure them into something, which is also with a treat. I'm cleaning after the dogs, feeding them, making sure they get their socialization and playtime, and that they're not stressed out or locked up all day. I also deal with adoptions, so I go to several adoption events to help the abandoned puppies and abandoned dogs get adopted. I speak with the adopters. I help them transition to their dogs, talking them through proper management and how to properly take care of them. If they say that they're going on vacation a lot or that they're never home, then they shouldn't have a dog if they're gonna have it locked up all day or not pay attention to it.
I'm Romina Bryan. I tend to work more with the puppies. The most rewarding part is seeing dogs get better, with behaviors, or some of them, come with a bunch of fleas or are a little sick, and just seeing them be happy and get adopted into good homes is amazing to me. Sometimes it's kind of sad to see them go, especially when you get attached to them, but I've lost a few dogs working here, And I think that's always hard, like losing a dog. It's hard seeing like something that you saw like healthy, like not go through or be sick. We tend to get 1 or 2, I think, every week, or at least a litter. There's so many dogs that we get like constantly. There was a point here in June that we had like 27. Our main catching zone is the Redlands, but I mean there's still so many dogs out there, and it's whatever we can catch or whatever we find. It's really important for everyone to spay and neuter their dog, even if their dog never leaves the house. It's so important because on the off chance they get out and they get someone pregnant or they get pregnant, those puppies, like, we have enough puppies in the world right now, and you shouldn't really be focusing on that, because the amount of puppies we get that are sick or full of fleas, or you know, they're out there, you know, with a feral mother and it's hard to catch them, like the puppies we just got. Adopting a dog saves that dog. It changes everything. It's their second chance. It changes everything for them, especially dogs who have been abandoned before. Like them knowing that you're not going to leave them is so important for like any dog.
Don't get an animal if you're not going to take care of it, or don't get an animal if you feel like you're not in the right position to, like, the story behind everything. Like, every dog has their own purpose. They have feelings, they need to be treated the right way, just like humans are. Just like knowing what I'm doing is helping like the dogs in need and everything. It's just an amazing experience.
I would really like to see more education, you know, maybe even pamphlets or flyers or something, and maybe try to educate them. Maybe they'll read it, maybe they won't, but we need to start with the young kids too, the kids in school, and educating them. And then, you know, I think eventually over time it can get better.
We've had birthday parties, children's birthday parties, bring the girls in to come and take a tour, and instead of gifts, they got donations for the dog. So every little thing, just teaching your children how important it is to care about another living, breathing thing is, I think it's vital.
Well, it's not a high priority. We need to make it a higher priority, and that's a cultural thing to make it a higher priority. We have to show that there's a problem. So in some ways, you know, by us doing a good job in taking care of some of these problems, the problems are not highlighted, you know, for society to see. So it's a catch-22, but it's one we're willing to, you know, we're willing to be part of. If there are not people here who are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and I dare say through the county there are probably some people who are making $100,000 a year in salaries.
It would be really wonderful if we could get a little bit of help. How do we get help? People that would be willing to foster. But if everybody would help a little bit as far as donating, I mean, I'm not talking about thousands of dollars, I'm talking about $1 each of us. If we could do that to the rescues, not just my rescue, but just about any rescue out there, we would have a little bit of money and we can help a little bit more. And we can do so much more than what we're doing right now.
A lot of people don't understand the plight of pet overpopulation right now, and that is the biggest problem, and that's why these rescues are out there. That's why the shelters are there. It's really due to people not spaying and neutering their animals and having all of these unwanted pets. You know, we're a first world nation. We have the ability to help. We are the ones as humans that created this problem here in our country. So it's our responsibility to clean it up. It's our responsibility to care. It's our responsibility to do the right thing.
If there's a need somewhere outside of our community, we're always willing to do what we can, because it's our problem. It's not just local. We have to help wherever we can.